Welcome to Tahoe Homes. I'm your host, Megan Burke, and on today's episode, we're visiting not just any house. Nestled among the Tahoe trees lies a Tudor-style house, which looks as if it came from the pages of the old folktale Hansel and Gretel. So come with me to explore this storybook castle, which is still among the fairest in the land, only on this episode of Tahoe Homes.
I'm Chris, and welcome to my Hansel and Gretel gingerbread castle. I grew up in the Bay Area and started coming to Tahoe when I was 6, and around 2000 some of my best friends moved up here and fell in love with the South Shore, mainly because of the rock climbing. My first company was writing guidebooks, so I came up here, wrote a guidebook, and really thought I'd just kind of be the Bay Area weekend warrior until I just started connecting with more and more of the community and realizing just not only was there so much outdoor adventure here, but there was just so much potential to connect with people, bring my business here, and now I'm here trying to pull it all together to snowboard before work and then bring some of the smartest engineers and science background-based people from the country to do gear reviews.
My name is Victoria. I moved to Tahoe in March of this year. I am a boat captain. I've been working for the last 5 years down in the Caribbean, driving different sailboats. Actually working for a study abroad program for college and high school students. And I would work 8 months out of the year on the boats and then come back to the States and work up on a mountain for 3 months, 3-4 months, and teach skiing and snowboarding to kids. But yeah, I've just moved back to the States full time, and I've done a little bit of captaining on the lake here at Tahoe. But yeah, now I'm kind of getting into the vacation rental Airbnb models and loving Tahoe life.
So when I moved to Tahoe, I got into vacation rentals starting out, and I realized it was probably the best way for a climber to get into real estate. I call it the get rich slow scheme. I was doing that for a decade and just started getting more and more into remodeling homes, decorating them, slowly upgrading them past the just kind of bachelor party pad to a place that, you know, a family, especially, you know, my family would want to come and hang out in. And it got me more and more into just checking out the different homes around Tahoe and buying some of them. I was really wanting to buy a house on the Nevada side. I wanted this kind of amazing banana belt weather and to be really close to my office. And it was really hard to find a spot. And then, because what I really wanted was something that was different. I didn't want a typical kind of spec home from the 70s or 80s. And when I found this place, it was very different. There's definitely no one in the 2000s, 2016, who's trying to build a Hansel and Gretel mini cottage mansion. So when I came across it, it was one of those things where part of me was like, this is weird. And then the other part of me was like, well, that's why no one else will buy it, and why once I kind of decorate it and bring it up a little, it's gonna be just kind of a gem of having this really funky, fun character that meets a lot of the more modern touches that are, you know, pretty easy to put on the surfaces. Well, the goal with this house is I'm a giant fan of the Great Gatsby book, and it was always my dream to basically have the Gatsby style bring a lot of people together, but then avoid the tragic ending. And so what I really wanted was a place where my family could come. You know, I travel around the world a lot. You know, I could meet all these interesting people. I'd be like, hey, there's this place, plenty of bedrooms, you're always welcome, come back. And that's more or less happened. It's become kind of this, you know, anyone's always welcome because there's kind of plenty of space and everyone can have their privacy. And then it's also a great venue to host, you know, friends' parties, whether they're getting engaged or there's a nonprofit. So it's kind of my whole missing part of Tahoe for me was the community. And so this house kind of became the way to connect the community and to you know, do something more than just all the amazing outdoor adventures, to actually start hanging out with people. Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of my life just chasing the big adventures and basically going around the world trying to find the next big rock climb, the next big base jump, all over the Alps, all over Baffin Island in northern Canada. And it was really fun, especially in my 20s, when it was a little more about, you know, what's just the raddest thing I can do, and got to do so much of that stuff at that kind of pushing it at the edge level, that eventually it started to wear off a little. Kind of the danger started catching up with some of my friends, and realized that it would be nice if I could transition that into, you know, more about the community, more about building up relationships around, you know, my house and around the town, and bringing in a whole bunch of kind of different new set of adventures. So I came to Tahoe because of the climbing. It's one of the best places in the world to moderate rock climb. Before that, I was all about just climbing in Yosemite, the biggest walls in the world. And then over time, I just became interested in all the different activities that are around Tahoe, and to the point now where, you know, I love the fact that you can go paddleboarding before work, and then maybe a mountain bike ride after work. That's just been the best part about kind of Tahoe and this home, is that ability to have all the toys, have all the people, and kind of have that balance of life. I think the best part about Tahoe is just that you substitute all the time sitting in traffic for doing a whole bunch of active stuff every day. So it's hard to meet people who don't, on a regular basis, get outside to just walk the dog, or to mountain bike, or to ski. And then from there you have people who do, you know, some of the world's cutting edge rock climbing or snowmobiling. So there's kind of this just adventure culture, but for all abilities, and pretty much everyone you meet is a part of that. And it's a great kind of healthy, balanced community to be in.
Welcome back to Taw Homes.
So this house was built in 1976 by a fairly well-known in the Tahoe area architect named Guy Brown, and he was known for the Tudor style, which is basically taking the medieval England, Henry VIII, and in this case matching it a little with Hansel and Gretel, where you get the sloppy grout where it basically looks like someone was building a gingerbread house. And it's slightly more structurally sound than that, slightly, but it's also just makes the whole house a lot more fun. So the defining parts of this house and how they are kind of part of that Tudor style, the first thing you notice is that roof line when you walk in that has this kind of super steep pitch with this giant heavy door. And around that there's kind of a little castle turret. Then you have all these bricks, which they chose to kind of have it look like it was built hundreds of years ago, where each one is not quite straight, and then the extra grout to kind of give that kind of fun look of, we weren't here to try to make this super precise. This came from a time when we just, kind of put things together, and it's just a lot of fun. So I think one of the reasons why the house took a long time to sell was it had a lot of very dated surfaces. So you had to look past the pink carpet, the linoleum in all the bathrooms, the kind of aging paint. But it was just surfaces, and it was very easy to fix.
My initial reaction is, what is this place? I've never seen a house like this, with a Hansel and Gretel theme, and it was really cool because we had just redone all the flooring, and kind of gave it this blank canvas with painting all the walls, white or an off-white, and it was kind of this nice, cool, interesting start of what you could make happen in this house and decorate, and it was super fun. It just kind of happened, one thing at a time.
So this house has 7 bedrooms, 4.5 baths. It's about 4,600 feet. But it's very kind of small from the street, and because it's built into the side of a hill, it's kind of hidden so that each room kind of reveals another little mystery spot. It also makes it so that when you have a big group, you can still be in kind of a small, intimate space without feeling like you're in a cavernous place with 20-foot ceilings. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, where you have this small house that also has enough room for everyone. And when you walk up to the house, the first thing you see is this giant heavy door that looks like it came from the Tudors HBO series. And then from there, the entryway is kind of one of my favorite parts, because it has all my climbing heroes that were basically the ones who invented big wall climbing in Yosemite in the 60s. And it just so happens that I got to become friends with one of the people who took these photos and got to then choose some of my favorites. From there, my favorite room to the left is a living room, and it's not only great because it has the fireplace, but I got to actually use my climbing gear and my kind of climbing pass to hang the TV. Not because it actually, and I got to use the climbing gear to hang the TV because that's the only way I could figure out how to do it. I tried to drill into the rock and realized it wasn't gonna work, and that this actually might be the most sane way to put it up there, and so far so good. The other great thing about the living room is just that it kind of is sunk down from the rest of the house, which seems to kind of bring all the smaller kids in here to kind of wrestle. So all my nieces and nephews will come here over the holidays, and it's kind of my favorite room for that reason, and just because it's kind of fun to hang out with a glass of wine at the end of the day with the fireplace going. Behind the living room is the game room, where I always wanted an excuse to have a Pac-Man machine with, it has 62 different kind of old school games from Centipede to Frogger. So those are a hit with everyone from the 2-year-olds who just like hitting the buttons as much as they can to a lot of my friends who grew up with these games. And then of course had to have the pool table. If you have a large house in Tahoe without one, I think they banish you. So got that one in, and was really excited that the house not only came with kind of an office and a library, but it actually came with all the books, which saved me a lot of time. And it also came with the books with just the right kind of old spine, as opposed to some of the other random ones in there. Don't zoom in too close.